Long before emulations of analog hardware became popular, and before all the sophisticated graphics that we see in modern plug-in emulations, McDSP was there right at the beginning with their filter bank and compressor bank plugins. They were the first on the block that allowed you to sort of dial in just the right settings to model a variety of different compressor and EQ response curves. So you could, in effect, get recreations of classic hardware, although it wasn't laid out with really sexy graphics. Now, they've since developed a huge library of plugins with fantastic sounding emulations, and Colin has always found a way of adding unique twists to the emulations that always surpassed what the limitations of the physical hardware were. Now, a couple of years ago, this all came to an apex with their 6030 Ultimate Compressor and then the 6020 Ultimate EQ plugins. They included a history of all the McDSP emulations in their codebase, but more importantly, they offered a whole new approach to how we use these plugins. Now, the idea was that we got 10 different compressors in the 6030 and 10 different EQ models in the 6020. So the idea is we would dial in the basic settings and then easily switch between the different models to see what worked best in our specific context. Now we have the 6050, the Ultimate Channel Strip, and what it does is it combines all the components of the 6030 and the 6020 into this one module-based channel strip interface, plus it adds 8 new modules to the mix. Now, it's divided into 3 sections. We have the module selector over here. We have the I/O section, these ins and outs. And then we have the module bay with the module section over here. And it hosts 3 modules, EQs, compressors, or more, which are 6 of the new ones. And the other 2 new ones are at the bottom of the EQ section. The interface is really easy to use. We select our target slot here of the 3 slots and just click on what we want in there. So I'll select target 2 and put maybe a compressor in there. And we can simply drag and drop these around. And you got to keep an eye on the target module selectors over there and these over here so you'll know which one you're influencing when you change a module. So drag them around, and we can also call them up from up here. We get a drop down with all the 10 different equalizers, 10 compressors, and the additional plugins. So either way is fine. And we click no module here if we want to remove one. Now the input is really nice. We have sidechain routing for each of the 3 selections over here, so we can sidechain any or all of them. And the output section has phase reverse as well, so very useful. So just a brief look at the new modules, since you may already be familiar with the compressors and EQs from the 6020 and 6030. The IX is a downward expander. There it is, and it's got some filtering to use in a sidechain. The FRGX is downward and upward expansion, and again, it's got adjustable sidechain filtering down here. The EZG is more of a standard kind of noise gate. And then we have 3 unique sounding modules that add in progressively more sort of saturation and drive to the sound. This is a nice saturation module. I've used it in all the examples I'm going to show you here. It adds saturation, plus we can enhance or roll back on the tone of the track. And here we add some overdrive, and finally we get a real distortion. So let me close this up and I'll show you what I've done on some drums. I'm going to play you all of these with the Ultimate Channel Strip, and I'll bypass them as it's playing, and then I'll go through and show you what I've done in each one. So I'm going to start by showing you the first overhead channel, and what I've done is on every one of these channel strips, I've put in the saturation plugin first with just a very tiny amount of saturation and no tonal shaping, just so it adds a little bit of saturation to each of the tracks. So here I've used the new, on the EQ in slot 2 over here, the new E404, which is basically a simple 4-band version of their original filter bank EQ design. So why don't I solo each one of these tracks for you, and I'll bypass the channel strip on and off, and they all host, as I say, saturation plugin and then some combination of EQ and compression. So I'll start with this one. no toms there. And I have floor tom in another section of the song. And here I'm using the new gate. So let me find this section for you. So that's really helping to isolate it. Now I've done something interesting on the tambourine track over here. What I've done is I'm listening through the sidechain to the hi-hat part, which is here, and I've enabled the sidechain for the second slot over here. And here I have a compression plugin. So I'm compressing the tambourine based on the hi-hat track. And this works because there's subtle accents on the offbeats on the hi-hat, and I want to make sure the tambourine doesn't obscure those. So let me solo these two, and then I'll bypass this plugin on the tambourine. You'll hear how it's helping the two blend together. So it just helps them sit better together. And finally, on the drum bus, I have just an EQ with a simple low and high boost and a subtle mid cut. If you don't already have the 6020 or 6030, it's an insane deal. You're getting 28 plugins here. If you own one of the two of them, there's a fantastic upgrade price that makes it really worthwhile for the additional 18 or whatever it is plugins. And if you do own them both, it's still worth it. There's a great upgrade price, and you get the new saturation drive, distortion, gate, expansion, and EQ modules. So try it out. There's a demo available on the McDSP site. The 6050 comes in all the popular formats, including VST now as of version 6 of the McDSP plugins. I think it's a great sounding channel strip, great for workflow, and a lot of bang packed into this plugin. And I think you're going to love it. This is Eli Kranzberg signing out.